Hi folks, a very warm welcome to you. We'll keep this brief. My name is Nick, and now we're going to have a rundown of zxspectrum games reviewed on the channel 1101, yes, to 1150. Let's go! We start with a curious Planet 10. It's Pac-Man, but it's in 3D, yes. Go around the maze, collect all the pills as you would expect. There's a scanner there to avoid all the ghosts, and when you do that, then you need to get to the centre of the maze to advance to the next stage. It's a very, very interesting idea. Great engine on this, moves really cool. I would recommend playing this. Not called Pac-Man because I don't think it had the license, but essentially it is Pac-Man in 3D, and boy does it move fast. Snake, spelled with a Z. You might remember these sort of games from your Nokia phone if you had one of those, but basically control this snake, get the apples as they turn up, don't bash into the side, and don't bash into your own tail. If you're looking for a snake-like game, you can't really go wrong with this. Z-Egg or Snake. It does what it says on the tin, really. It doesn't advance a great deal beyond this thing, so, you know, worth it for the basic of it, but don't expect something really advanced like your 8 is into the future. Highlander, based on the film Highlander with Sean Connery. Nice idea. It's a one-on-one fighting game, but it doesn't play particularly well. Graphics are quite cool. It's better than a lot in this area. For 8-bit, it's doing quite well. The graphics in the background are quite good, but these games are all in the playability, and this one's a little bit tricky to get hold of. And I think your opponent's energy goes back up again, and that's something I really hate. Haven't seen the film still, so there we go. That's something for me to work on. Footballer of the Year, this was a classic back in the day. Combined some playing action with some like live events there. Here we are buying a lottery ticket, but the idea is you must advance your player up through different teams, score goals, make a name for yourself, and be the one that they all want. Get selected for the national team, make lots of money, and be a dream footballer like I wasn't. Why didn't I practice football more at school? I don't know. It would have solved a lot of problems. Now we go into homebrew territory. This one is called Ruptus, influenced by the game Bosconian. On the Spectrum, it's Bosconian 87. This one's by Inafuto. He uses this ship on a few of these games. The frame rate isn't brilliant on Inafuto's games, but they do work well on platformers. For shooters, they're not too bad. This is probably one of his best ones, the best example. A lot of the graphics are recycled from other games that he has, but it's a little bit of fun there. It's a good recreation of Bosconian. It does what it should do. Solaris, this was a cover tape, I think. The ship is huge and it's multiple colours too, but it makes the game a little bit trickier than maybe it should be. There's a few variants on this. I like that planet there. It's a bit of skill involved. It's quite original too. You've got a power gauge there, so you're not going to die straight away. You get hit by any of the enemies, you're gradually going to go down. It's a space shooter in which there are loads. If you want to see the full review of any of these, they are in the playlist. Yazzie, this is by Retro Souls, and a really cool game. Retro Souls produced quite a few good games that we've covered. Over single screen there, the graphics are quite small, but it's Uzi's character. On this one, a bit like Load Runner, if you know that game, you have to collect all of the golden bricks to advance to the next stage. You can collect like these axe things to knock through the ground, and that's where the skill is involved. Don't use them all up straight away and solve what you want to do. Great presentation throughout. Yomp, it's a Frogger variation, so this time you are a platoon officer trying to get across the road. You need to do that 3 times to get a radar dish, and it's just darn too difficult. Reminds you of a stage of Horace Goes Skiing early on. You need to cross the road before you actually go skiing. That one is doable and fun. This one is not very doable. It's called Yom. Better games are available, Frogger and Horace Goes Skiing, so try them out first. That's only my opinion though, so remember that. Gluff, no, not Gluff, that's later on. Gunhead, this is another I think it was a cover disc, I can't quite remember, but it's playing the final countdown here. Destroy everything. The screen rips up a little bit. I think if you try cheat mode it goes all similar peculiar, but this is an attack on the senses here. The music is really combating the sound effects too. It doesn't quite work in my opinion, but anyway, it'll keep you occupied for a little while. Amazing Willie, it's, yes, we cover a few of these. It's a mod of Jet Set Willy. I haven't gone to town with this. I've seen better variants there. You can see the original rooms there, but they've done enough. It keeps the same music. Minor Willy this time is wearing a baseball cap for some reason. It's quite tricky, this one, trickier than a lot of them, but when I ever see these it makes me want to have a go of editing my own one with the utilities there. Deflox? Yes, that's it. Deflox. Say it correctly. It's easy for you to say. Similar to that other game we just looked at earlier on, about 2 ago. It's a variant of that, but with less like border, sort of like flashing. So, you know, very similar. No real reason to own both of those, except they're both considering the same things. But survive as long as possible and destroy all the enemies that you possibly can. Yay! If you're liking these, as I say, watch the full reviews in the zxspectrum playlist. Frightmare, great music on this one. But the game again is a little bit tricky. You control this character going around this strange land, collect all the items, destroy the enemies, and I think eventually escape the strange sort of like realm. Best played with a Pokemon. The jumping is a little bit floaty, but it is a good achievement. I think people would have got a lot of play out of this who would have perfected with it. A lot of the zxspectrum games are rock hard, and this is no exception really. So, you know, you can't mark it down for that because it's pretty much of the genre, and it might be a case that I was just rubbish. Great homebrew, this Broxot Olico. It's a little bit trippy, great graphics, great sound, and there's so many different like stages and types of gameplay on it. You can play this guy with a goat sort of like head, and he's moving forward in this strange sort of land. It's very, very bizarre, and I think it's probably one of my top 10 homebrews. It's just because the originality and the strangeness of it. You can fire, and you can also punch too when you run out of firing things. Biff, take that. Caveman, another Frogger sort of like a variant again. It's better than Yomp, but this time there's dinosaurs going back and forward. You must get to the top, collect 6 eggs, then bring them back to base. Once you've done that, the stage is complete. Not particularly interesting, but it's very early in terms of the gaming there. Caveman, the name would have sold a few copies alone, but this is what you got. Feels very much like a type-in, but it's not a type-in. It flashes a bit like it's in BASIC, but I'm not sure it is. Zolix, based on the arcade game Quicks. Basically, you control this, this circly thing, and we must capture areas of the screen by squaring them off like this. When we do, we don't want to be hit by any of the balls and pixels flying around. Get enough of the screen, and then it's on to the next one. A bit few tactics there. It's very, very addictive, this game. Zolix, if I'm pronouncing that right. Capture little bits there. There's probably a tactic involved, and I sort of like try to get half down the screen. Maisie, another one by Inafuto. As I said before, he's better at these sort of like maze sort of like games there. And frame rate isn't particularly good again, but it doesn't need to be in these sort of ones, and it is quite a bit of fun. The music sometimes a little bit too jolly in these games for me. This stickman is used quite a bit. It happens in a few of his games, but always interesting to see what Inafuto comes up with, because the games are fun and they're interesting to see, and they're consistent with the quality there. So you can always trust Inafuto. World Series Baseball. I don't really know the rules of baseball that well. Cricket and baseball I can take or leave it. This one takes some skills to master. I think people who did master it will be playing this for quite some time. It does absorb you into a baseball game. Get as many runs as you can and then get all your opponents out. So if you're after baseball, this is probably the best one you can get, I think, that I've come across so far. But I find it a little bit bewildering for me. Super Trolley. Now this is a bit dubious now. You go around with a shopping trolley and you have to collect items in a supermarket and get back. Yeah, brilliant. Now you remember Jimmy Savile? Yes. On his show, Jim Will Fix It. I think this was a part of the show where someone asked to fix it for them to design a game, and this was the result. So Jimmy Savile was on the front, so it gets a big thumbs down for that. Super Trolley, it's not really that super. It's quite a boring concept. It's in isometrics. It's cleverly coded, but doesn't work as a game. Sophia, another great homebrew there. We control this witch going around collecting items and avoiding skulls. The music is quite nice on this. The artwork is cool, especially the cassette cover there, as you can see in the top left. Different weapons to shoot different things. You must choose the right one, a bit like Pust, I suppose. So that Robbie the robot when he grew that amazingly cool alien flower. Does have a sequel, which you'll see in a minute. Stack Up is a Tetris variant. This game looks very, very different on the Commodore 64. There's items of food and fruit coming down. This one is just coloured blocks. Get 3 in a row, horizontally, vertically or diagonally. To get your quota, then it's on to the next level. It starts easy enough, but then the difficulty really cranks up massively. Music is a little bit glitchy, but that might be just my copy of it. It's rather cool. You like this sort of games, wasting a bit of time. Lunar Attack, there's not a great deal going on here. You can tell it's influenced by games like Manic Miner and Jet Set Willy and those sort of things, but it seems unfinished. There's not enough enemies there, and it's a little bit basic for my mind. It looks like someone started a game and then gave up at some point. But it's interesting when you get on those orange bits to go up. That's sort of like a lift sort of thing. There's a little bit to explore, but excitement factor. It's not one to be remembered with any great fond memories, I don't think. SIP, Spectral Intergalactic Painter. This is another clever one, I think, by Retro Souls again. Take your character, go over all of the white areas there, unlike Yellow Man in the middle, to make them all go green or cyan. There you can jump to the other sections, a bit like that. There we go. Avoid the enemy. And so it's all about timing this. As soon as you painted everything on the screen, then you're there. It's another one of these ones that gradually gets you in. Another one that might be in my top 10 homebrews of all time. Periscope Up. Now we're back to basic territory. Control this sub. There's been an accident at the nuclear plant in the UK. We all live in a yellow submarine, and by collecting items to unlock doors, you must get to the end and fix this terrible trouble that's happening with your nuclear plant. There's no inertia here, but still there's not enough... It's pretty tricky to manoeuvre around these dark caverns. There we are in a special little ship. We can separate from the sub to go through small areas to collect stuff. Olympiad 86. This is an abomination of a game. 5 sports, all of them rubbish. And even the balloon pulls the sign behind it saying rubbish at some sort of point. At this time, Daily Thomas Decathlon and Hypersports were around there, and that was much more exciting. So I can understand why some others was trying to cash in on it. There wasn't any Olympics in 1986, it was 1988, so what were they thinking all round. Sophia 2, the sequel to Sophia 1, this time we're more of a top-down sort of view, a bit like Attic Attack, but another cool music going on, one of the best that you will ever hope to come across. Different styles of play, I think, if you can get past stage 2, which I didn't. So, these reviews are never walkthroughs or playthroughs, so if you want to see that to get through, check that out, because there's a lot more to be seen in this game than what I experienced there. But yeah, a slower version of Attic Attack, but there we go, see its influence. Dr. Frankie and the Monster. Now, this is very, very awkward, this one. Programmed, I think, in basic or near to it. There's Frankenstein in the top, right there. You must collect 2 items and then get to the top to get to Frankenstein without getting hit by all the other stuff. But I found this extremely frustrating there. Quite basic, no real reason to come back to it. Use the ghost from Pac-Man. To a degree, yes, well, take it or leave it. I would leave it myself. Lancer Lords, this is a version of Joust. Winged Warlords is another one if you want it with smaller animals, but this is more cartoony. You're on the back of an ostrich, and you must bump into the other ostriches by hitting them from above, so they die. If they hit you from above, you die. They turn into an egg when you hit them, like that, and you must collect the egg before it hatches into another one of these terrible Cerebral Beasties, and then it's on to the next stage. Don't fall into that green stuff, which is supposed to be, lava, but someone must have put food dye in. Seraphima, this is one from Zosnia Entertainments, and whenever it's a Zosnia game, you think, how the hell have they done this on the ZxSpectrum? It's got speech in it as well. It reminds me a little bit of Valley of Rains. It's got parallax scrolling. It's incredible. 128k. How the hell is this possible? Anyway, take this lady, she's not wearing that much, on an amazing adventure, firing her twin guns and blast everything. A joy to play. It would be brilliant to complete this one. If it come out back in the day, it would be great. Rebel. Now, I prefer Deflector, if you're familiar with that game, but this follows a similar idea. You take these tanks, you change the direction of these mirrors using your tank, then you fire a laser which then deflects off all the tanks, the mirrors, and then gets to an end zone, and that's it. Deflector for the win. That's the same game, but you haven't got the tank. You use a cursor instead. It doesn't need the tank, but some people would have liked this game regardless. Rebel. Rambo 3, based on the film Rambo 3, loosely. It's top down, it's not Commando, it's not Who Dares Wins, it's basically go round, collect items and shoot everyone there. You can collect items too, as you can see. You can hold quite a lot of stuff, this Rambo, so he's got lots of pockets, which wasn't explored in the film. It moves a little bit slow for me, but fans of Rambo, using their imagination, might take this a little bit further in their own mind and have a bit more fun out of it than what I did. Roust. Now, here we go. This is another Joust equivalent, but with the letter R on the front. It's by Alan Turvey, or High Rise, so check out his games. Now, it's more nearer Winged Warlords, this one. It's probably the best version of Joust I've seen. The size of the character is good, so it gives you a lot of the area to play with. Different levels too. Same sort of thing though, collect those eggs, there we go. And it's all about inertia really, and this one has it a lot to be perfected. But yeah, a whole heap of fun. Gaza Super Soccer, this isn't a whole heap of fun, but recreating football games on the ZX Spectrum is pretty tough. Match Point was a lot of people's favourites, just moved quite slow. This moves slow as well, but what lets this down is the change in angle ever quickly from the side view to this view, which doesn't quite work. And I think what makes football games complicated on the ZX Spectrum is colour. It's a bit hard to distinguish who's who and what direction they're going in and what the hell's happening. But there we go. Here's one for fishing fans, basic fishing fans. We're that boat across the top. Everything below us is there to be caught. We must catch fish. Don't catch crabs though, because they will eat your fish. The deeper you catch these fish, the more points you get, and that is it. That's all you've got. It's only one up from that magnetic fishing game, Junior Angler in real life. But yes, just catch as many as you can. I think you've got 100 times you can do your anchor or your fishing rod, and then that's it. Boring. Lunar Rescue RX, yes, excellent stuff, based on the arcade game Lunar Rescue. Launch your ship from the mothership there, the one in yellow at the top. Go around all the other enemies and rescue astronauts which are stranded on the planet at the bottom. Enemies will shoot at you on the way back. So there we go, you're gradually dropping down, although you can control your descent with a little bit of a booster. There we go, and you sort of like know what to do there. A whole heap of fun, done really, really well. Gaza 2, it's better than Gaza 1, but that's not saying much. Yeah, it's got good physics on this game. Again, I found the colours a little bit tricky, but that's a ZX Spectrum thing. You're versus sort of like a ghost team. You can't select an international team, you're always player 1. So here we go, player 1 versus England, which is a little bit odd. But, you know, it's got some physics equivalent to Kickoff 2, which isn't easy to do. I can see it's a lot cleverer than the first game, and they've done well. But again, for me, I'm struggling. It's Potty Painter. Now, you remember Special Intergalactic Painter, that homebrew? This is like that, but on a 2D scale. If you remember games like Oh Mummy, I'm the red character, and you circle all of these boxes to turn them cyan, and avoid that gorilla that's going around and that native sort of like person. Do that, and the next stage they get gradually quicker, the enemy, and there's gradually more of them as well. So basically circle boxes for all your worth. Glove, I told you it was going to come to this one. Another one from Retro Souls, champion of the single screen sort of game. But check out this music. Bum 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 bum. Yes, you've got Special Intergalactic Painter again. Change all the tiles to a different colour, or like Cuba, I suppose, as well. That's from the arcades. That's where they all come from. You control this weird frog creature. Must load his paint box there with those refill things, and then jump over everything. Ryder, you're James Bond, can't you tell, or are you Roy? Anyway, Roy lands on this bike like this. In this James Bond world, he's trying to impress MI5 or MI6 or MFI so he'll get a gig. Here I am, going along, avoiding landmines. It's a joke of a game, very, very basic. It's not really any long-term appeal there, but it is quaint. It's got historic value, I suppose, but it's not going to be remembered with any you know, kudos. Alpine Games, from the same people who did Olympiad 86. You might recognise some sounds from C5 Clave, which isn't a good thing. The events are too short, another one that falls by the wayside to gain any fun in it. Here we go, check out that animation, it's great, isn't it? The other sports are equally as dull. No real reason to check out Alpine Games. It's not very good, really. Your time 16 seconds, you qualified. Boo. Doctor Who, Surrender Time, a homebrew, made with a construction kit by CRL Group in the 80s. It's you versus the Daleks. If you want to create a 3D construction game, then adventure game, then use that CRL Group's one. I think it's just called 3D Game Maker, I think. But this is one of the better ones. I think we reviewed a game called Submariner a long time ago, done by the same thing. But it's good subject matter, Doctor Who, and it's good music throughout, especially on the title screen. So Doctor Who fans, I think you should check this one out. Lunar Rescue. Now, you remember Lunar Rescue RX. This one came out back in the day, rather than a homebrew. It's a bit lackluster, so I'm glad it got redone. But again, go down, rescue the astronauts. In this, nothing's firing at you like the arcades. You're just avoiding these rocks, and that makes it a little bit too easy there. But here I am smashing into the mothership. And that's pretty much it. It would have been okay back in the time, but totally trumped by Lunar Rescue RX by Hooray. Who wants to go fishing again? Yes, Jack Charlton's Match Fishing. It's a fishing simulator, so select your bait, your rod, what area of the map you want to be. It's always this, but you know, your everything really, your reel size, your hook size, and the more fish you catch in the time zone, the better. I think it adds all the weight there to get your catch. Fishermen people will like it. Non-fishermen people, well, I don't know. Sector. This is like a modern day version of Transversion. Collect all the items here. Well, I suppose a little bit like Transversion. Select all the items here with your ship. Avoid getting shot by all the things going around the side. Very, very addictive again. It moves very fast. There's no slowdown. Another quality homebrew there. You can get this from Spectrum Computing, I think. Like I get a lot of their homebrews from. Sometimes I get sent stuff, which I'm grateful for. Can't all review everything, of course I get sent so much. Right, Knockout, a very lackluster boxing game. What's annoying in this is, it's only 2 boxers, one on each side of the tape, but it's not one of those ones where the boxer's health sort of like goes back up again, and so it makes it impossible to actually play. Just backward and forward, body punch, face punch, lovely haircuts, but choose Barry McGuigan's boxing instead. That's more involved, and at least you've got a chance of winning this one. This is frustratingly difficult. Escape MCP. I don't know why they made the decision to make the screen flash. The colours seem to be random each time. You must get... you're in a computer, and you must collect a disc and items, then get to the exit. I never ever got off stage 1. That M following you or some robot is just too close to me. I think the only way to do it is wait till he's like a pixel away and try and get round. But it's way too tight, at least stage 1. Shay Maxine, a homebrew there, influenced by games such as Tapper and Mad Nurse. It's converted from the French game which came out on the Odyssey 2 or the video pack. Basically, there's a chef down the bottom. He's making dinners for the clients of a restaurant. You must collect those and take them to the waiting guests there before they get angry. If you take too long, they'll give the restaurant a bad review. It's all about your reputation in the bottom left. QB, it's a version of Qbert. It looks okay from the screenshots, but they've just made, after stage 1, they've just made it too difficult and it's almost impossible. I played it with a poke on after that point, and I was dying every 2 seconds. It was just comical. So a good game ruined by the difficulty, but yeah, jump on all the squares, make them a different colour, and then get to the end. But you'll never get past stage 3. It's just too difficult. QB, he's got a big excuse to swear all the way through. Grid Runner, there we go. It's like a combination of Transversion meets Centipede. This by Jeff Minter. Destroy all the enemy body parts, then it's on to the next stage. Did come out on the Commodore Amiga, which reviewed. It's a totally different game. It's absolutely insane from Llamasoft. But yeah, the ship can go up and down here. Try and use some of those yellow things as shields from the things shooting at you from below. But yeah, Centipede meets Transversion. Hotman Inafuto, he's good at these sort of like games. Influenced by, I suppose, Super Mario. Just keep going, keep jumping. The frame rate sometimes makes it difficult to land solely on some of the lifts on this one, but it is good fun there. Scrolling is acceptable without being brilliant. There's a lot more advanced homebrews around, but these are okay. Right, lifts is tricky with this frame rate, but anyway, Biff, there we go. And last game on this section is It's a Knockout, based on the TV show. It's a game with lots of mini games, and it gets away with it because the games are so daft. I like this a lot more than I should have done. There's like a crushing game. This is the Flan Fling, and you're versus different countries. Whoever gets the most points wins. It's a great show back on TV back in the day, but one would never be repeated. It's when everyone in Europe loved each other and they weren't fighting for everything they were worth. So, you know, I hope you like that roundup. Takes a little while to do the video there. So yes, that was zxspectrum games reviewed on the channel, 1101 to 1150. I think that's what we did. There we go. So as usual, if you liked any of those, please watch the full review and subscribe if you haven't already. So thank you very much. Long may the stress busting continue. Until next time, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye.
Goodbye.